This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, this is my ID and my note card. One-sided, and if everyone could just state your name and how old you are, and then I'll get started.
Hi, I'm Troy Mealy. I'm 29.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm 22.
I'm Josh Mercedes. I'm 25.
I'm Deanna Breen. I'm 40.
I'm George and I'm 31.
Thank you. Research from the National Wildlife Federation estimates that 539 species have gone completely extinct in the US in the past 200 years. We share our ecosystems with endangered species, and because of that, our quality of life and our survival is directly linked to them. Additionally, nearly 1/3 of the United States native species are at risk for extinction. With these facts in mind, it is clear to see that protecting threatened and endangered species should be a top priority. I have grown up with a strong passion for animals and not just the furry ones. Ever since I was a kid, I have been intrigued by reptiles, marine life, big cats, birds of prey, and their place in this world. I have also been conducting research regarding threatened and endangered species over the past few weeks. Today, I would like to show you why it is so important to advocate for endangered species immediately. Before I get into the details, let's review the 3 main points that I will be sharing. First, I will explain the importance of protecting our endangered species. Next, I will share some solutions on how you can support them. And finally, I will describe a world in which we don't have any endangered species. Now that you are aware of the overview, let's begin with the importance of protecting our endangered species. On to the next slide. With the recent history of habitat destruction, climate change, and resource depletion, mankind poses a threat to endangered species. Milton Kazmir from Sciencing explains that these changes have increased the extinction rate by a factor of 1,000, putting substantial pressure on thousands of the most valuable species on the planet. If we push this problem to the back burner, our ecosystems could easily be destroyed, causing catastrophic cascading effects that could, according to Columbia Climate School, alter ecosystems, jeopardize pollination, endanger the food chain, cause a loss in nature's medicinal riches. In addition to these alarming facts, an increase in endangered species could also threaten ecosystem biodiversity, which, according to the American Museum of Natural History, provides us with food, cleans our water, creates oxygen, and provides medicinal cures for illness. According to the National Wildlife Federation, 56% of the top 150 most popular prescribed drugs are linked to natural compounds found in the wild, with an economic value of $80 billion. Aside from the practical reasons for the protection, we would also lose a big part of our connection with nature. Hiking and walking through nature reserves, or even watching nature shows on TV would become a thing of the past. However, there is still time for us to change the course of history. Moving on to the next slide. The solution to this problem is not a quick fix, and it will take a lot of time. But I believe that we have the power to make a difference. With this being such a widespread problem, there are many ways that individuals can help. According to Columbia Climate School, one way to do so is to pressure your elected leaders to establish stricter policies against pollution, habitat destruction, mass development, and overfishing. In addition to this, the Endangered Species Coalition explains that the first step to protecting endangered species is learning about how interesting and important they are to us. While the current state of endangered species does seem grim, there is still hope. According to Our World data, which studied information from the IUCN Red List, states that since major conservation efforts began in 1993, an estimated 32 birds and 16 mammals have been prevented from going extinct. In the case that we do not act now, in the next 10 to 20 years, we may be living in a world with a scarcity of food, clean water, oxygen, animals, medicines, and we will truly lose our connection with nature. Now that we know what can and needs to be done, let's take a look at which endangered species are protected and supported. So click on to the next slide. If we commit to this, our animals and plants will thrive. The world will be less polluted. Pollination success will lead to an increase in crops, which will therefore provide people with sustainable food. Biodiversity would boom, and we would be able to enjoy nature and wildlife for decades more. In conclusion, I'd like to summarize what I have shared with you today. First, I explained the importance of endangered species. I went into ways of how to support them. And finally, I described a world in which we don't have any endangered species. So I strongly urge you to take one step today to saving endangered species by doing one of the following things. Visit your local wildlife refuge and give back to them by donating. Instead of buying single-use plastics, invest in items that can be reused. Or start a garden at home where you can plant flowers that attract and support our pollinators like butterflies and bees. As I mentioned before, I grew up with a love for all kinds of animals and their environments. It would be disheartening to see the beauty of nature diminish as I grow older. I hope that as members of this diverse environment in which we live, that the necessary steps can be taken by all mankind in order to save what makes this planet so special. All right, are there any questions at all?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
What's your favorite endangered species that you care about the most?
I would probably have to say sandhill cranes. They actually live close to our house and I always see them. And they're really beautiful animals and they're so sweet. So they're probably one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Anyone else with another question?
Do you know of any other local endangered species?
I know that the bald eagle is still endangered. We actually have them in my location here. I'd have to get back with you on some more in my specific area. It's kind of hard also because there are the native species that are endangered, and then there are also a plethora of exotic animals here. So the lines get blurred between those, but I'll definitely send you some info on that.
Cool.
All right,
I have-
any other questions?
What's a good wildlife refuge to visit?
I know of one in Fort Myers called Crow. I know that they recently opened up like a small sanctuary where you can go and visit and see them, but they mostly work on like endangered species. Also around here, there are a few parks. They are actually opening one near my house. I believe it's going to be called, I forget what it'll be called, but I'll send you a list of a couple like in Orlando and Fort Myers in that area, or in Florida in general.
Thanks.
Yeah, any other questions?
Is there like an organization that you know of that you could go and like help support like endangered species and stuff?
Yes, so the National Wildlife Federation is a really big one, and that's for the whole US. The Endangered Species Coalition as well is another big one that people will donate to and volunteer for and just support in general. There was one more, There are also a few schools that will do, I think like FGCU and even UCF work on some programs that get like students involved, but they also allow other volunteers to join. So I can get you a list of those as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I don't
What do
think
you
so.
recommend for volunteer opportunities to help the environment?
So I would probably suggest these places where there are sanctuaries. They'll let you like feed the injured animals, help them kind of rehabilitate them. But a lot of the times you wouldn't be working hand in hand. You'd most likely be like donating to the cause or like spreading the word to that for them and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Any other questions, last minute questions? Okay, awesome. If you could end the recording for me, babe.
Perfect.